Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Please Get Help. Because if you're watching this, you definitely need it. Uh, Taz is back with us today. Hello, Taz.
Yippee!
And then also we have Tojik as usual. Welcome back to you both.
Yippee!
And hello and welcome back to all our viewers. And thank you for continuing to watch our videos or watch these podcasts. We are gonna stream later after this podcast. Why am I saying that? Because the podcast isn't going to come out until like tomorrow or the day after. It doesn't matter if we say we're going to stream on TikTok, because the stream will be done over with when it's uploaded.
Beetle beetle.
Anyway, uh, the topics we have in line today are two gaming grievances I forgot in the last episode, and then we have how much it would suck to time travel, and this is just what I wrote in my topics list. Fucking deer rant. So I think we should actually start. Taz, do you have any gaming grievances, gaming icks? Taz just said, not really. And then,
I said that.
folks, we figured out the Discord activities thing, and we've got the watch together thing on the background, and Taz decided to put on 10 hours of silence, interrupted by wet fart sounds. So prepare yourselves. Okay, Taz says not really. I don't know, as long as the game isn't terribly inaccurate, poorly made, or overly political, I don't have a problem with it.
I can agree with that.
You know, terribly inaccurate could probably, excuse me, could be a conversation for how accurate historical media should be for another episode. But anyway, uh, Terrence Ick was the overuse the Terminator flip, the 1887 shotgun. And then I said snipers on Battlefield 1, uh, and people stealing your care packages.
Well, to
Was there
specify, your
anything more to
teammates
that?
stealing your care package.
Yeah, teammates stealing your package. I mean, it's annoying when enemies do it, but like, you want in fair combat, right?
In theory.
The Black and BO2. Uh, mind telling me what that is? I don't remember. Oh, is that like one of those?
Just
That sounds fucking horrific. Tez says the Black Cat in BO2 it lets you hack kill streaks from a distance, including care packages. It was a tactical. You could have two of them every life. That
damn.
sounds fucking horrible. Granted, I think I only started Major League Gaming like I think it was like the year Master it was like the year Master Chief Collection came out. It was like when the Xbox One had just come out. That's it was like a year of the Xbox One coming out and like Halo 5 and such. So I didn't really get to play through the height of BO2.
Rip.
Uh, so we can move on to our actual. Okay, here's one of my other grievances: not having a prompt to pet animals in a game.
Fair.
I think the worst thing is like I think especially in like a game you like have horses and then you don't have a prompt to pet the horse or like interact anyway with it. Which is probably why RDR2 is like one of the best games of the last 10 years. I, with the story, gameplay, open world, and how fleshed out the animals are.
So much
Like
so I
you can
remember
pet
it like
cow.
caused a war between the pony people and the tryhards.
Yeah, yeah. But don't be a tryhard, ladies and gentlemen. And then this is,
Oh
I think
my god, that was a loud one. That shit echoed.
Buddy was going down a tunnel with that one.
What the hell? That was. I keep forgetting we have that going. Okay. What were we talking
I
about?
think
That completely brain melted me.
we were talking about not being able to pet animals in games.
Right. Right.
I think one of the more grievous examples is Fallout 4, where you can pet dog meat, but that's it. There's no, you can buy dogs even, but you can't pet those dogs
True. I never even thought about
or
that.
capture them through the thing.
Yeah, you bet. And even then, you pet dog meat like once, and that's like when you first meet them.
Yeah. Is there even like a, was there even a good boy conversation prompt with dog meat? Because what, it's just trade, go here, and wait?
I mean, you can make them do tricks,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
and you can tell them to go scavenge and find things. But yeah, you kind of just there's not really a pet on demand. It kind of only happens, and I believe it only happens if you meet him at Red Rocket, because if you can technically like you can completely skip dog meat if you really wanted to, but
Which nobody makes. That was a little tamer.
Helen was a little tamer.
You fucking call this one the fart episode.
Anyways, let's see. Is there any other ick that bothers me?
I do have one more. Don't don't know if you guys have run into this one.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna come back next episode and be like, and another thing.
Wait. Well. Did you say you had another one, or
I did, but I was saying I'm probably gonna like okay. It, this is my personal gripe. When you're playing a game in first person, but combat forces you into third person. I have found this in Sengoku Dynasty and Conan Exiles. Yeah, and it's like you're not starting out in third person. I mean, it's.
like crafting, riding
I
horses in
mean,
Skyrim?
crafting in Skyrim is not bad enough because you're more just looking at the menu. But yeah, it can. be kind of aggravating in horseback riding, especially when you're trying to fight from horseback. And this happens in the Halo games, but it's like forgivable in the Halo games because you can actually still aim. And that only happens when you're like in a vehicle and pick up a turret.
True.
Like in Conan, it's been a while since I've played Conan Exiles, which is just Arc, but for people that like Conan the Barbarian. I've got like a big ass like anthology book of the Conan the Barbarian stories I need to get around to reading. Uh, it's like remember off the top of my head, like even using a bow forces you in the third person, and it's like using a bow is not a thing you want to do in third person. I will give Sengoku Dynasty props though. There is an option. There is an option where you can choose to remain in first person in combat, but like that shouldn't even be a need. It should be like if I'm playing in first person, keep me in first person. If I'm playing in third person, keep me in third person. It's not hard, you know?
True. There is a lot of games that give you that option to just switch between third and first willy nilly.
Yeah.
I'm
Are
over
we
here trying
ready
to
to
think of.
jump into the next topic?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Da-da-da, we suck at transitions. Fucking damn it. This all started many, many moons ago when I came across some dumbass TikTok on, well, TikTok, and it was like screenshot of something, and it was like white-tailed deer range, and I like went all across the United States except for Canada, and I think also part of Oregon, maybe Washington, I can't remember. And somebody, but even the deer know to avoid California. And so I was like, well, fair play. Uh, kind of don't like. I'm fairly leftist, and I don't care for California that much. But then again, I don't care for any kind of like big city. But I was thinking about it, and it's like uh, I could go back to tell the original poster of TikTok about it, but it's like, hold on, there's a reason why there aren't whitetails in California, because there's another deer species in California. There's already deer in fucking California. The Columbia blacktail. That's where they live. And even then, whitetails don't really populate the entire United States. They're like more on the east part. You know what's like in the middle, especially in the Rocky Mountains area? Mule deer. There are mule
Mjolnir.
deer out there. Yeah, they're like the biggest of the deer species, and they've got it's like a really beautiful dark brown coat, and they've got big ears, and they're it's actually theorized that they're a hybrid of whitetail and Columbia blacktail deer that became their uh that became its own species. I was like, there are enough of these hybrids to make its own species.
Whack.
It's like if mules could like if this is like I don't know how much you guys know about equines, but mules, the mix between a horse and a donkey, they're infertile. They can't produce their own offspring. So basically a mule deer is of like if a mule could reproduce and they became its own species, which technically it already is, but like it can't fill out its own numbers without human intervention. I saw, speaking of mules, I saw, I mean, that's mules, mule deer. I saw this like diagram or whatever of like, it said it was from the medieval period, and it was a picture of this like hole in the ground. It was like a triangular esque hole in the ground, and they backed the mare into it, so it was like level enough for the donkey to do its business. It's like, so that's how that happens. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay. You know, I agree with that sound effect. I could have gone my life without knowing that. Without that image in my head.
Oh man. Apparently there are white-tailed deer in Europe too, which I which is wild to me because Europe already has deer species. It's got roe deer. They're little tiny ones. Like I'd say they're probably in the same weight class as a dog, and they have like really tiny antlers, and they squeak. They're like I've never met a roe deer, but I played way too much Hunter Call It a Wild and just out in the European maps and go here or something like that. And then
Freaking deer.
there's fallow deer, which is like the middle of the three main European deer species. They've got, unlike most deer, they keep a pattern on them. Like you've seen, Bambi. Like Bambi had spots on him when he was a baby.
Yeah.
Fallow deer keep the spots, and also they have like almost like paddle shaped horns. I'm not horns, Tagger, antlers. It's like if moose antlers were smaller and were stood up instead of to the side. And then there are red deer, which are, well, of course, deer that are red, and they're like just shy of elk, and they have this really cool roar sound effect. When I say sound effect, it's their
Sound
sounds.
effect.
Get Go on YouTube sometime and look up red deer roar. It is really it is something special. It definitely rank it up there with like the elk bugle sounds. So let's to round out the deer conversation. Oh, did you know that elk actually also used to live all across America? They were like everywhere.
I believe it. We
Yeah,
surprisingly get a lot of elk over where I live.
yeah. It's and it's not winter or spring until you're driving down the road and you're blocked by the big ass herd of elk crossing the road.
That was exactly
Uh,
what I experienced, actually.
yeah, it's a magical experience, and I stay out of school longer.
I mean, depends. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a cool thing. See, there we go.
God damn it.
I don't
Jeff,
know.
can
I'll
we
be
can we
honest.
cut
My
that?
extent of deers is sometimes I see them and I'm like, oh, hey, look, oh deer. I go, oh dear, every time. And then a lot of time, like, I just see them, kind of being dumb. And, kind of makes me want to go fight one. Not gonna lie. I just want to throw hands with a deer sometime. In fact, my madre, she has what she calls her little science project. She has little baby pumpkins growing in her front yard. And last time this happened, deers just straight up came up and ate it. So
Oh, they've wreaked havoc on my fucking raspberry bushes.
So, me and her are both in agreements that if the deer get near the pumpkins, we're throwing hands.
Yeah.
Uh,
I I managed to fix it. I just bought some kind of like anti-deer spray off of Amazon and I sprayed it a couple times and they've pretty much left them alone. But now the fucking raspberry bushes are out of control. They're like as tall as my fucking shed now.
and then I'm also scared to death every time I come home from a closing shift, because I have a relatively large length of open field and road to I drive through to get home, and of course, oftentimes when I get home, it's like 9 o'clock at night, so it's like I'm always peeking around because there's always almost every night there's always like a deer just chilling right on the side of the road. I'm always
Just when you think that the road coast
afraid
is
one of these
clear,
nights,
there
like
in the
one of those
world right there.
dumb little things is just gonna get a little too carried away and walk right in front of me. But
You know what? I think honestly, I'm kind of low key thankful we don't live in a place with a sizable moose population. I mean, moose are cool and all. I've seen a moose out in the wild, but
you,
l- having having a sizable enough uh population where they regularly interact with them
you know,
is no better. Yes.
I lost my train of thought. I actually that kind of reminded me of a freaking. I don't want to say horror story, but I got jump scared by an elk one night out in the woods. Um, uh, basically pretty close to my house because I live relatively close to a mountain range. One night, me and my dad just decided to randomly go for a night ride in the side by side, and it was like my first time driving the side by side, which was really cool. And he drove me up to the hill, and then I drove all the way up the hill, and we just kind of went up the mountain and then turned, and we were kind of heading towards like the fairgrounds. And the path to get down to that road to go to the fairgrounds was very windy. And literally at that moment, and this is like 12 o'clock at night. Like, we're literally doing this at midnight. It is pitch black out there. The only light is the light coming from the razor. And we're going through the bear country. And of course, my dad, you know, and I were, and my dad, being my dad, was like telling me how, oh, the bears like to hang out in these bushes right here. They like to hang out in this tall grass and whatnot. And as he's telling me this, we're going down this windy road, and we turn the corner, and we go down, and then we turn the corner again, and right as we're turning, we just see this big, bulky body and these two little beady eyes of a creature running right towards us.
No.
And instantly, I almost shit myself because, of course, we were just talking about being in bear country and whatnot, and then this giant demon just appeared in front of us, and as I like hit the brakes, it runs in the light, and it's a big ass elk. Just and he literally like Bethesda mountains his way just up the hill, like he's just gone.
Dude, elk are fucking crazy in the hills.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of what that reminded me of, was just the elk jump scare.
Yeah. I've I've had something similar happen to me, but it was some more stupid deer. In the town I lived in, there was the reservoir out in the, it's not really countryside, it's fucking desert. We'd right out there and we'd go fishing and crawdad trapping, you know? I think we were out there late. It was me and my brother, dad, and his girlfriend at the time. We were we taggers, we fucking love crawfish. Trapping crawdad. We were probably trapping crawdads and fishing, and it was we were out dark. And then we get in the Bronco and we start driving home. And two fucking deer, probably, I don't know if there was any more, dart out in the fucking road and dash and fucking swerves to like toward where the deer had come from. You know, the side of the road the deer had come from.
Right.
So that was fucking shock.
That's always fun.
Yeah. I still think the finding the, I don't know if I've told Taz this. I probably have told you. Don't know if I've told the podcast. But I was out hunting with dad. Me, my shithead little brother, and dad. We're out hunting. We go back to the car because it's about lunchtime and we're hungry. And then what does dad see next to our tiny fucking red Audi? A fucking cow moose and her calves. So, well, shit. Nothing happened. We just watched them, I don't know, fucking walk around the car or something. Or probably kids were like, "Hey, mom, let's go check that out," and they left. A little bit jarring at the time, but also, goddamn, if only I had a camera and wasn't fucking 10 years old and could use a camera or at least a phone. I think we opened the door to get our lunch out, and the deer was so close. The little car door moose, moose are deer, but like they're still moose.
Oh dear.
Open the little car door swung like way over the the moose tracks. They were like right next to the car. It was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The one time I've seen a moose and it was awesome. But again, still glad I don't live close enough to moose where I have to worry about saving my dog from a moose with La Chocla. You know, the Latino Latino moms throwing sandals at their kids.
Ah, yes. Chancla.
Uh, you two must have seen that video where a little, it was a pretty young bull moose was going after somebody's dog. And so the mom from the balcony just smacks it in the face with a sandal. And it ran away.
Wow.
But then again, if I was in that position, it wouldn't be La Chocolate. It would be Senor Browning or Mr. Winchester.
Wow.
But that might be counted as poaching. But you know what? You know the like sound on TikTok's like, if you're willing to kill somebody for trying to steal your dog, then that means you put your dog's life over a person's life. And I'm like, girl, I would stare down Georgia State Patrol and say, "I'm your Huckleberry for my dog."
Oh, can't say I've heard that one before, but
From Tombstone, the final showdown between Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo.
oh,
And
well,
then
I agree. I would probably
fucking,
throw hands with a human over my dog first.
yeah. You want to know a really scary video I saw? Oh, it's this lady and probably her husband and her dogs were in the living room, and right up against the porch door was a mountain lion looking through the glass door at their dogs. I was like,
Oh,
and she just took a video of it. I was like, I'm thinking, yeah, I would have probably just started shooting through the glass once I noticed. Because, like, I'm all about, you know, saving endangered animals and, like, protecting animals. But if you're on my porch thinking about making a snack out of my dogs, you need to go.
and I guess you don't mind paying for a new door.
I will pay for a new house. Like, yeah, what's a broken door and some spent ammunition for members of my family?
True. And bobcats are freaking terrifying. Or cougars, mountain lions. Wild felines are scary.
Yeah, they're fucking jaguars. Their favorite snack is crocodilians.
Crocodile.
They'll jump into the fucking Amazon River to hunt down a caiman in the caiman's natural habitat. And you know how a jaguar kills its prey? Doesn't go through the throat, doesn't bite through the belly. It bites down through its fucking skull and punctures the brain.
Didn't know that.
If something in Central Central America and South America, a jaguar will eat it. And
Well,
that probably extends to people. If you're
definitely people.
unlucky enough, somebody's got to have been eaten by a jaguar.
There was. I don't know why this reminded me of this because it wasn't a jaguar. It was a freaking lion. But however many so years ago, I can't remember how long it was. I remember it was on the news. There was this incident where like this I don't even know what the occasion was, but like this SUV was driving down the road and they pulled to the side, right? And they're like near, I want to say they're like in a town or like a city somewhere. Like they're in civilization. The car stops, the people get out, and one of the people was like kind of like lagging behind. And
Uh-uh.
all you see is this big ass lion come out from the side of the camera, from the right side of the camera, fucking bulldoze the poor fool and just drags them away.
Jesus.
And of course, like people rushed to help and officials got there. And unfortunately, sure enough, when they got there, the person was gone. Like he was mauled. I couldn't recall if they actually like had like killed the lion or whatnot, but
They
yeah,
probably
the
did that.
the fact that it just went out of its way to just murder a person was terrifying.
You know of the Savo Lions.
Not off the top of my head.
Well, real quick, let me play the red deer sound for you real quick. Keep watching. Hi Taz, welcome back.
Beefy.
My PC crashed and I didn't notice.
I was wondering why you disappeared without notice.
Yeah, that is a red deer roar. Granted, I think elk bugles rank above that, but that is a dope sound.
That is kind of scary.
All right, back to the Sutherlands. Uh, I want to say in the 1880s or so, Britain is building a railroad through Africa, being colonial dicks like they're known to be, and they have this huge workforce of Indians, not actual from India Indians, and they're working on this railroad, and they're like getting to the Sava River to build a bridge over it, and then people start disappearing. At first, the guy in charge thinks that they're just getting killed for so they can be robbed of their pay. And then stories start coming about two lions. In short, over the course of I don't know how long, these two male lions, just two of them, kill like close to 400 people, at least which is reported
Wow.
at the time. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there are tigers and leopards in India with even higher kill counts. So yeah, do not fuck with big cats. Uh, though you'll probably be happy to know there has never been a reported attack on a human by a snow leopard. So yeah, snow leopards never killed anybody.
You hear that? That means snow leopards are completely safe for household pets.
Probably not, but like I don't think anyone's. I mean, leopard snow leopards are so rare anyway that it probably would be near impossible to get one as a pet.
True. Ah, the good old days with Mr.
You know
Whiskers.
what animal? Uh, this is funny. This topic is right after deer rat. You know what animal would be worse to have as a pet than a wild cat? Name any primate,
I
and
was,
that would be worse to have as
I
a
was
pet.
about to say
Oh,
a freaking ape
yeah.
or a chimpanzee.
There are too many stories about people getting fucking mutilated by chimps.
Yeah, they're scary creatures.
Yeah. I mean, also, there's also don't keep wild animals unless you are a trained professional in a rehab business or you're a zookeeper. It's like, even then, keep it to fucking baby foxes and raccoons.
Better keep that homie in the lockdown exhibit.
Yeah. It's like, out of how many fucking animals you could have at a zoo, chimps are the only ones that shoot on sight. If it escapes, don't even bother to try to tranquilize it or whatnot. Just kill it.
Planet of the Apes was on to something.
Yeah. Also, I don't think anyone would ever want to have a bonobo.
But no go.
A bonobo is basically a chimp, but instead of chimpanzees, where all their interaction is aggression, bonobos dial it all the way to the other end, and they're just super horny.
Okay.
There was like a bunch of experiments they were doing with some bonobos that were in captivity, and the zookeepers threw some boxes into the bonobo pen. A bunch of bonobos got together with the pens and immediately started going at it.
Why am I not surprised?
Interesting fact about chimps and bonobos. Uh, Chimps are a patriarchal society, and bonobos are more matriarchal. I mean, granted, bonobos aren't like
Excuse me.
make love, not war all the time. There are fights, I'm pretty sure, but it's way less than chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are like the only animal I would consider truly evil. Because, like anything else, it's just an animal. It's like either it's super hyped up on defense or it needs to eat. Well, the Savo lions, they only did that because their teeth were so fucked up they couldn't eat other animals. So they had to eat people. It was dead or starve. So you can't blame them. But chimps don't kill. They torture. They mutilate. It's like, nah, man, we don't want to kill you. We want to do a lot to you, and then maybe you die.
Yep. Yeah, chimps are freaking terrifying.
And then Taz just says dolphins.
Well, dolphins are evil. Evil, evil
They're
creatures.
they're fucked.
Dolphins and orcas are literally the freaking.
Orcas, I wouldn't call evil. They, I mean, I don't know much about the mating habits of orcas, but it's like they're predators. That what they do is to, get food.
Okay,
Or maybe it's just their
sure.
free willy speaking.
But when you literally send a goddamn sea lion, like, into the
Oh,
air just to kill it.
yeah, that's a little hard to explain away.
Like, sure, yeah, they are definitely, I guess, predators, but, like,
They're
they.
not serial rapists.
Well, no, I've heard scary stories about both dolphins and uh, orcas. I don't know.
Orcas are dolphins. They're part of the dolphin family and they're not really whales.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. That's all I really got on that part.
Yeah. What's our time looking like?
We are at 44 minutes.
Well, with the three of us, we try to set it for like an hour.
Depends. I mean, if you have another topic up your sleeve, or We should just call it here for tonight.
You know what? Since we're talking about animals, what about number 4?
What is number 4?
I remember an anecdote on zoos and conservation.
What, what you mean by that?
It was I was gonna retell this really cool story I read, but and then I was like, you know what? Let's put in a rant about perception of zoos and such. Okay, the story is there was this like group that was going down to Madagascar to try to stabilize the lemur population, and but the biggest obstacle was the native people hunting lemurs. And so the people were like trying to talk to the uh, local people, and it's like, hey man, don't eat the lemurs. And it's like they started thinking, and then they look around, and it's like there's no other protein source for these people. And so what the conservationists did is uh they get some chickens and some vaccines for the chickens, and they give them to the village and teach the people how to take care of them, how to vaccinate them, and then boom, no more lemur hunting because they have a readily available source of meat.
Huh.
It's like it's like they could have just said, "Hey, don't eat the lemurs," like everybody else before them, and left. And then also props to the Madagascarans for talking it out with them. They could have been like, "Go pound sand, dude. You're just another European fucking high horse. Get out of here. You don't know what it's like out here."
True.
But they worked together and they found a solution, and that kind of, I guess, it shows it's like a lot of conservation problems. Is like you have to help the people that live there too. It's like, you know why poaching is so prevalent in Africa, especially to get rhino and elephant ivory? It's because that's like the best opportunity any of them have. It's like the biggest payout they could hope to get. And it's like that's why a lot of park rangers, the guys that go out there with the guns and the dogs to stop poachers, were poachers. But then the reserves hired these guys to guard the elephants. So you have a steady paycheck. Now you don't have to hunt elephants.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm thinking on zoos, and it's like, how some people are always like, why are we keeping them in zoos? They need to be out in the free and in the wild. Well, first of all, that would be a pretty boring zoo, wouldn't it? There's no animals in there. And then second of all, zoos are very, very important for conservation. Because, like, there's education, of course, to teach people about these animals so that hopefully they'll help
True.
raising money for these animals. And then there's a whole bunch of other things. Like, some animals just can't go into the wild. Like, what do you do with a lion with a bad leg, or uh, a sea lion that's had the back of its tail chopped off by a boat propeller? You can't you can't let those back into the wild. So, and if you so put them in a enclosure that matches their environment with food, medical care, and a job. And also on top of that, zoos are very important because they breed these animals so that they can reintroduce get some back into the environment
True.
so that
A
they
lot of
can
them are
go
rehabilitation
on to
programs.
make more in the wild. It's like I've talked about the Przewalski spores, the Mongolian taki, on here, and they were pretty much gone from the Eurasian steppe. And it like is same with the American bison at the end of the 19th century. And so what kept them from going extinct was all these different zoos and like private breeding programs. And then we got enough of them that we could introduce them back into the wild.
Ta-da.
And so now you go out, there's bison in Yellowstone now. There's bison in Yellowstone. And granted, they play fuck around and find out with dumb tourists, but still, they're there.
True. They are there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say
Mm,
zoos are pretty important.
yep. Also, what? How many people in the United States really can like travel internationally? And even then, they're not. Fewer of those are like going out into the wilds. They're like going to the cities like
Yeah, they're going to
Tokyo and
Vegas,
Rome. Yeah.
which I realize
And so
isn't
it's like,
international, but still.
does Vegas have a zoo?
Oh, I'm sure it does. Vegas has everything.
Yeah. It's got the sphere, its own Eiffel Tower,
It's got
the
machine
Lucky
guns,
38.
the high roller, the all the Gordon Ramsay restaurants.
What was it, the Excalibur Hotel?
Yeah, that's the one I stayed at.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's got blackjack and hookers.
the. Well, you didn't get with any hookers, but you definitely saw like the night fights. Was it the medieval times
Uh,
restaurant in the
yeah,
bottom?
I saw the tournament of the kings.
And then you had your first run in with alcohol.
I did, and my first night after too, which was not fun.
Yeah, didn't you have to go back on the flight hungover?
I don't know if I was hungover, if it was alcohol poisoning, or if I just happened to catch something, but I was not feeling good the next day. I was dead. I woke up, my throat was non-existent, and I we had our of course our flight was delayed, so we ended up spending like 7 hours in the airport.
Oh,
But I don't know. That's a whole story for another day.
yeah. Oh,
We are just
what?
short of an hour, if you're wondering.
Sure. Doing it something. You know what? Speaking of international travel, where is one place you'd want to go to, like, for, I guess, like, safari, go look at animals? Like, any place in the
Oh,
world. Like, air, this is like, don't think about food or the people or the cities, just go see animals in the wild. Where would you go?
I don't know actually.
Taz, do you have a place in mind? Because I've kind of got one. I mean, yeah, you're out in the sticks in Alabama, but I meant like someplace to go see something other than whitetail and squirrels. Go on a safari to go see something that see an animal the United States doesn't have, or like a bunch of animals. Like go go s- to Kenya to see lions, or all right, fair. I think the first place in my mind would be Mongolia. I would probably say India or Africa, but that's probably a basic bitch answer. Go to Mongolia and see, wild Mongolian horses and uh, kind of. There's a type of Sega antelope. The it's a type of antelope and has these weird noses. It's like almost like low key looks like elephant trunks on a deer body.
Hmm.
These guys,
Oh, those things.
those are straight out of the Ice Age, baby. And they're actually
I was
coming on the
wondering why
up
that
and up.
looked familiar.
Yeah, you can see them in the last episode of the BBC series Walking with Beast.
And Ice Age
And
1,
also,
2, and 3.
and speaking of Ice Age, there is a creature that's like a giraffe with that nose adaptation. But funny enough, the creatures that the ones you're talking about is like, why is it called an ice age? Because of all the ice.
Because of all the
Those are a
ice!
South American animal. Those are from South America. They wouldn't know what a woolly mammoth is.
True.
They wouldn't know what a ground sloth and a saber-toothed cat would be, though. Because there's this wild thing back in the Stone Age. Central America used to not be a thing. After Pangea, North America and South America used to be sep- separate continents, and then at some point, a land bridge formed that became Central America with Nicaragua and Ecuador. And so animals from both continents started moving into each other. Uh, Terror birds and giant ground sloths from South America moved into North America, and then bears and saber tooths, and I think some canids moved into South America.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, alrighty then.
yeah. I'll put like I'll put Central slash South America next on my list as second place to go see jaguars and all the colorful birds and capybara and all that.
Goddamn
But on top of
capybara.
that, I'd have to deal with all the bugs,
True.
like ants, that when it stings you, it feels like you've been shot. and probably more poisonous spiders than I can count guns. We probably should call it, shouldn't we, and get into like the TikTok stream.
Probably. Cause yeah, probably. I mean, we did
What?
reach the hour mark, so.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode 7. Uh, like, comment. I don't know what we should ask in the comment time. Uh, where would you go to for the sea? Like, what country would you go to, or region, or whatever, to see their wild animals? Please tell us, and we'll tell us what you think of our podcast, and we'll read them out in the next one. All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you
Bye.
later.